In this video, we're going to be talking about the NBA Finals. We're going to be talking about Mark Cuban's endorsing Joe Biden, the Tennessee death penalty for rapists, Juneteenth, and we're going to be talking about Ted Cruz. He went to town on some other person once again, and I think it's very funny when he does that, so we're going to talk about that as well. More about this in this episode. So, the NBA Finals just happened recently, and not surprisingly, at least now, the Celtics won. Now, for a while, I thought that the Mavericks were going to win for sure, because for the longest time, the best team in the league has been the Nuggets, and then the Timberwolves beat the Nuggets, and then the Mavericks beat the Timberwolves. And, I thought that that's how it was going to play out. I thought the Mavericks were just going to walk their way through the finals and destroy everybody. And that ended up not being the case. The Celtics ended up destroying them while having the weakest playoff run ever. They had the easiest way to the finals ever. And kind of upsetting. A lot of people were hating it. A lot of people hated this. They said it was the worst finals of all time, which I don't necessarily disagree with that. But anyway, thought I'd just talk about that for a few seconds. Now we're going to move on to Juneteenth. Juneteenth is the day where Abraham Lincoln, the great president Abraham Lincoln, freed the slaves. He freed all the slaves, and all the slaves were freed. He signed the Emancipation Proclamation, and he freed the slaves, and all the slaves were freed, and the Confederates were screwed, and whatever. Except for he didn't. No, he didn't. The Emancipation Proclamation, I don't know why I'm struggling to say that word, but it didn't actually free the slaves. And this is the most untalked about thing in American history, is that Abraham Lincoln was not as great of a president as everyone thinks he is. Not only did he not even care to free the slaves in his inaugural address when he first went into office, he literally said he was not going to do anything about slavery. And he didn't do anything with it. Now, most people are going to hate when I say this, because most people only remember what they learned in kindergarten about Abraham Lincoln, how great he was, and how he freed the slaves and whatever. But that's not the case. So the Emancipation Proclamation only freed slaves in the rebellious states, in the Confederate states. If you were a Union state, if you were part of the Union, you were allowed to keep your slaves. And no one talks about that. And I just think it's funny that everyone's like, oh yeah, today's the great day where Abraham Lincoln... Dude, no one really knows a lot about Abraham Lincoln, because when you actually study it, he's really not that great of a president, and people get upset when I say things like that. But anyway, that's going to be all I talk about with that. I just wanted to mention that and talk about my gripe with that. Now, moving on, since we were just talking about the finals, let's talk about the guy who owns the team who won or who lost the finals. Which I'm more glad that the Mavs lost the finals. At first, I was kind of upset because I didn't want the Celtics to win, but now I am glad because Mark Cuban is a moron. Mark Cuban declares that he won't vote for anyone who thinks climate change is fake. Okay, so Mark Cuban, I don't know where he mentioned this, but he said that he did not want to vote for Trump because he doesn't believe that climate change is real. And the reason why Trump doesn't think climate change isn't real, he thinks that it's not real, is because he has common sense. Everybody who has common sense knows that climate change is crap. Everybody who has common sense knows climate change is garbage. It's all crap. It's just Al Gore propaganda that's been disproven time and time and time and time and time and time and time again. It's not real. So, the billionaire businessman Mark Cuban declared Monday that he will not vote for anyone that thinks that climate change is fake. The Shark Tank star engaged in arguments surrounding the presidential election with several social media users before revealing his condition for voting. his one and only condition for voting. At one point, a user said they will vote for President Joe Biden even without considering the environmental concerns, which, not very smart of you. And then this is what Cuban responded with. He said, I won't vote for anyone who doesn't believe climate change is real, Cuban wrote on X. Which is stupid, because anyone with common sense knows that climate change isn't real. Everybody who has common sense knows it's not real. It's all garbage. Oh, in 20 years, the ice capsules are going to melt. They haven't melted yet. Oh, I swear, in the next 20 years, in the next 20, they've been saying this crap since the 60s, and nothing has happened yet. And we still believe it because people are clowns. Another user replied to Cuban posts by claiming that nobody doubts climate change. And then he writes, but the question is if we should hold up, how do you say that word? Industrialize. Duh, I don't know why I messed up on that word. So, but the question is if we should industrialize or use the government's money to purchase inferior tech to solve the problem, or if we should invest nuclear and grid technology mitigation efforts in Bitcoin mining to incentivize renewables across the grid. User Dave Weisenberg wrote, as the election approaches, ask yourself which candidate is more likely to make the right choice. And Cuban then pointed to former Donald Trump's previous claims that climate change is a hoax. He writes, you are right on the question we should be discussing. Cuban wrote, wrong on the proclamation that no one doubts it. One candidate has called it a hoax and non-existent. So I think what the original guy was trying to make, the point the original guy was trying to make about climate change, is that no one doubts that the climate is changing. Okay? For example, here, the climate has changed from yesterday to today. If you see my hair, it is hot. Even with my air conditioning running, it is hot in here. Now, I know before you comment, you're an idiot wearing long sleeves. I agree with you that I'm an idiot wearing long sleeves. So I'm not doubting that the climate changes, but the idea of climate change is that the basic idea of climate change is the global warming hoax. And like I said, anyone with common sense can tell you that that's garbage. Climate change and global warming is all garbage. It's actually the reason why they changed it from global warming to climate change is because you can't prove global warming, but you can prove climate change. Because as I said, the climate has changed from yesterday to today. It's actually, the climate is changing so much that it's actually changed from this morning to like the afternoon. And then since then, it's also changed once again. So it's not hard to prove climate change. But that's not the idea of climate change. The businessman has supported Biden as the presidential election approaches, often contrasting the president's record with Trump's. Biden has frequently supported efforts in aiming and addressing climate change. So some of the efforts in, what did I say there, addressing climate change, has been more EVs. So if you have common sense in your head, you would know that EVs are the exact opposite thing that you would want. Because EVs actually create more climate change. EVs are actually worse for the environment. They did the same thing with plastic bags. We're going to replace plastic bags with paper bags, even though there's literally no difference between the two. Actually, there is a difference. You can't reuse paper bags, and paper bags take longer to biodegrade than plastic bags. And actually, paper bags take up more space in landfills. Everybody reuses plastic bags. Everybody. Well, at least when they're still around. They use them for their lunch. They use them for whatever they want to use them for. Paper bags can't be reused because once you get a drop of water on it, it's over. Actually, today I was bringing in water from Walmart, and I picked up the paper bag to bring it in my house, and it ripped once again. So it just goes to show that paper bags are trash. Also, I wonder why Joe Biden hasn't proposed an idea to ban the plastic bags you put in your trash cans. Somehow that's perfectly fine, but paper bags at the store, deeply evil, and if you use them, you're Hitler. It's stupid. Stop listening to what people tell you. Okay? Listen, look up things yourself, think for yourself, and think, does this make sense? If it doesn't make sense, it's because it doesn't. Television host Piers Morgan, a billionaire hedge fund manager, Bill Ackman, both later posted a clip of Biden leaving the stage at a Los Angeles fundraising event, claiming it shows his weak, or shows that he is weak. So I don't know if you saw that recently, but there's a clip. There's an actual clip. So the TV broadcast edits it out. It edits Joe Biden now when he's like planking out. And there's a video from a guy in the crowd recording him the whole time, like just like following him the whole time. And Biden's like sitting there frozen, and then he like Obama has to like push him, like it's Weekend at Bernie's or like that. You know that movie back in the 2000s, that movie where the dead guy, like that's literally Joe Biden. Cuban criticized both over their abilities to remain objective. And then he says, quote, "I'll let you both in on a secret. Both candidates are old, very old. They are both going to have their senior moments. Except for the fact that Biden has way more senior moments than Donald Trump does. And if you can't tell that, if you can't make a difference out of that, that is stupid. Misremember, forget things, and have physical frailties," Cuban wrote. Except for Trump doesn't, because like Trump's consistently out there playing golf. He's going to UFC events, like walking around. He's very, heck, I would argue he's more alert than many teenagers these days. Most teenagers aren't half as alert as Donald Trump is. I'll tell you, not so secret, one is great at sound bites, but also thinks in sound bites. The other is awful at sound bites, but thinks in complete sentences. So he's comparing Trump to Biden here, and he's saying that Trump thinks in sound bites and is great at it, which just doesn't make a lot of sense. Because Trump will literally speak for like 17 hours with no script and just go on. Like he did at, obviously not for 17 hours, but he'll go on for a while, like he did at Nevada a couple weeks ago. And he'll literally just go on and speak. Do you remember, like this is a Shane Gillis joke, do you actually remember when the leader of ISIS was assassinated? That's real. Like, I know it's a joke that Shane Gillis tells, but he literally did. That's an actual thing Trump did. He literally went on for 40 minutes of just talking crap about that. It's just great. And then Biden is like, ice cream. It's sad. I hate that we're making a mockery of him, because I know that deep down he is old. Biden's old. He has mental problems. He has dementia. And it's sad. But what I am going to make fun of is all the people who think that he is a better alternative to Trump because of whatever. Biden is a terrible option as president. He always has been. I don't think there's ever been a good time to vote for Joe Biden. And I'm not even like the 90s Joe Biden was kind of wild. Saying the N-word aside. But Biden's never been a good choice for president. Heck, he wasn't even a good choice for vice president. Morgan claimed in response, he and Aikman are more consumed with reality than Cuban, which is the truth. That is true. And I think it's funny that Cuban did that. And I'm like extra glad that the Mavericks lost the finals. Because that's funny. I think that's hilarious. Moving on. So, Massachusetts, there's a new bill coming out that would allow mothers to sell their newborns to the highest bidder. So, we're basically legalizing human trafficking. Ladies and gentlemen. So on June 12th, Massachusetts House anonymously voted to pass a bill that would allow mothers to sell their newborns and base parenthood solely on intent. Now, don't know why this is a thing. This is just stupid. And the House anonymously voted. So that means everybody agreed that this was a good idea. So if you see someone in the Massachusetts who was part of this, you know not to vote for them because they're idiots. Currently, Massachusetts allows for paid surrogacy and traditional surrogacy through in case of traditional surrogacy. Though in case of traditional surrogacy, the intended parents must legally adopt the baby at birth, which would require a background check. At least one of the intended parents must have a genetic relationship to the child, age 2672. I'm guessing that's the law. The parentage equality bill would refine parenthood, changing it from the basis in biology or adoption as a means of providing a home for a child who has lost his or her parents, to basis of a parent's intent to be a parent of a child. So opening the door to more abuse. Supporters of the bill argue that the current laws has harmed same-sex couples and intended parents who use an egg and sperm donor, because one of them is not legally the parent of the child conceived through surrogate unless they have legally adopted the child. Yeah, that's because that's not how that works. I don't know why this is even an argument. Yeah, 2 dudes can't make a baby. 2 chicks can't make a baby. It's a dude and a girl. You need both. You need a dude and a chick, and they make a baby. That's how that works. You need both. It's called binary. That's why it's ridiculous when we're talking about this whole transgenderism idea. What is a woman? And they can't give an answer. It's ridiculous. Because there's a clear binary. Boy, girl. Man, women. They complain that these couples have to adopt their own children to ensure their legal rights. Now, me personally, I don't think gay guys should be allowed to adopt children. I've said that once before. I even made a video about sperm donation, why that should be completely illegal. How you should not be allowed to donate sperm. And one of my reasonings for that is because you could be giving your sperm to a lesbian couple, and the last thing you'd want for your child is to be raised by 2 women. Just not great. Anyway, moving on. However, adoption protects children from abuse due to the regulations that are involved in the process. There is research on the negative outcomes for children who live with non-biologically related parental figures. One study found in studies across the wide range of cultures, the single best predictor of child abuse is presence of a step-parent in the home. So what it's saying here is typically people who are abused is more likely when a stepdad is present. Usually when it's a mother and a father who had the kid, the child in question isn't likely to be, or as likely to be abused as he would be if it was a stepfather in the case. In fact, the risk of even unintentional death, such as drowning, is greater in step families than intact or single-parent families. Background checks exist in the adoption process to protect children from being placed in dangerous homes. With adoption, children are clients, and proper steps are taken to ensure the child's placed with safe parents with assisted reproductive technology. Adults are the clients, and no law required background checks for adults creating children through ART or surrogacy. In a recent case, Adam King was arrested this year after allegedly planning to sexually abuse the baby boy he and his partner were expecting via surrogate. Yeah, that's disgusting. That's another reason why I don't think gay people should be allowed to adopt, because gay people are way more likely to be pedophilic, and also gay people are more likely to have been abused sexually as children as well, which is another reason why I don't think that people are born gay. I think it's something that happens to you later on, and if it was something that if you were born gay, then statistics like people who are molested as kids being gay more likely wouldn't be a thing. That wouldn't be a statistic if it was something naturally that came along. Background checks that are not required in surrogacy could have stopped Mark Newton and Peter Trong, I think that's how you say that, from sexually abusing their boy, or a boy, they paid a Russian woman to carry in 2005. Police believe they wanted to have a child for sole purpose of exploitation. Death. Give them death. Make it painful. The Bible tells you to do that. Purge out evilness among you. It's in Deuteronomy. You must purge out evilness. The boy's abuse began just days after he was born, and videos showed Newton abusing him less than 2 weeks after his birth. Kill him and make it painful, please. They're not going to do that because wimpy gay guys run this country. The men traveled the world for more than 6 years, selling the boy for sex with at least 8 men, recording the abuse, and uploading the footage to Boy Lovers Network. Kill them all. Kill them all. Holy smokes, dude, that pisses me off. I'm actually angry right now. My wife wrote the script for this video, so I don't even know what I'm going to be. I didn't even know what I was going to be talking about today, and boom. I am now angry. She has put me in a bad mood. It's not her fault, though. According to the Federalist, most commercial surrogacy laws restrict surrogacy contacts to case in which the surrogate is unrelented to the child she is carrying. However, the Massachusetts bill would allow a biological mother to receive financial compensation in exchange for her biological baby, even allowing the surrogacy contract to be ran after she has conceived a child. What is wrong with people? What is wrong with these people? Oh, it doesn't matter which side you vote for. They're both bad. At least we're not trying to sell children. No, I'm not kidding. This is literally legalized human trafficking. It's legalized. This is literally slave trade. This is basically the slave trade. Under the bill, the House voted to appeal the Section 4B, Chapter 446 of the Massachusetts law regarding the artificial insemination, which states any child born to a married woman as a result of insemination with the consent of her husband shall be the legitimate child of the mother and such husband. This would no longer be considered true under the new law. So they're overturning. If you give birth to a child, you are no longer the parent. This is ridiculous, dude. I hate this. This is terrible. So yeah, if you live in Massachusetts, now there's only one plus. There's only one plus I can see to this law. Okay? Only one thing I can see good about this law. This might prevent people from getting abortions. If you could sell your babies for financial gain, it might prevent abortion, which is good. Because anything to prevent abortion is a good thing in my opinion. Abortion's murder. It's the worst thing on the planet. And I hate abortion, and it's terrible. I could go on and on and on about how much I hate abortion and people who get abortions. But if this law was passed, this might prevent people from getting abortions. It's still a stupid law. Okay, this law is stupid. It's like, I can't even say what I want to say about this law on YouTube. But it's a stupid law. But I do see a plus that it might prevent abortion. Still not a good law. Still terrible. Still going to harm children. And it's still human trafficking. Moving on to the next thing. So, there's a Tennessee governor. Oof, man. So the Tennessee governor okays a bill allowing the death penalty for child rape convictions. So on this channel, we have talked about Joseph Rosenbaum, who brutally raped 10 children, or 11 children, and he only got 10 years in prison for it. And Joseph Rosenbaum is the guy that Kyle Rittenhouse shot. So, the Tennessee governor, Bill Lee, has approved legislation allowing the death penalty in child rape convictions. In change, the Republican-controlled State House championed amid concerns that the U.S. Supreme Court has banned capital punishment in such cases. So, what I think that means is that they're trying to pass it, like, quickly. Because if they pass it quickly, it's already like set in stone. It's like grandfathered into there, because our Supreme Court for some reason wants to ban capital punishment when people rape children because they're a bunch of pedophile lovers. I don't care what anyone thinks. If the Supreme Court's actually trying to do that, which I'm not sure how true that is, if they're actually trying to do that, they're pedophile lovers. They love pedophiles and they support pedophiles. Lee, a Republican, quietly signed off on the legislation in May without issuing a statement. The new Tennessee law, which goes into effect on July 1st, authorizes the state to pursue capital punishment when an adult is convicted of aggravated rape of a child. This is literally the opposite of what California is doing. So in California, if you rape a child, it's okay, as long as they're within a certain age range. As long as they're within 10 years of your age, it's completely okay. And it's completely disgusting, really. It's freaking disgusting. And this is the exact opposite. So they're doing a good thing here. And yeah, in California, they allowed it in all cases. So, like, anal rape, oral rape, vaginal rape, all of it. All of it's pretty much legal as long as the person's within 10 years. So they've literally legalized pedophilia for the most part because they love pedophiles. That's the only thing I could really think. Those convicted could be sentenced to death, imprisonment for life without possible parole, or imprisonment for life. Or, that's weird. Hold on. Why does it say it like that? Imprisonment for life without possibility of parole, or imprisonment for life. Isn't that the same thing? Okay, I guess it's not. Weird. I just think that's weird. Why do they word it like that? Anyway. Florida's Governor Ron DeSantis enacted a similar bill nearly a year ago, a few months after being enacted. Florida prosecutors in Lake County announced in December that they would be pursuing the death penalty for a man accused of sexual battery of a minor under the age of 12, which is pretty good, pretty based. According to the Death Penalty Information Center, the case is considered to be the first pursued under the new law. Can't wait to see how that turns out. Meanwhile, Idaho's GOP-controlled House approved a similar legislation earlier this year, but the proposal eventually stalled in a similarly Republican-dominated Senate. So I'm confused here. Eventually stalled and probably. While many supporters of Tennessee's version have conceded that even though the volunteer state previously allowed convicted rapists to face death penalty, the Supreme Court has ultimately nullified that the law with its 2008 decision deeming it unconstitutional for capital punishment in sexual battery cases. Okay, so that must have been something they did. So that's something they did in 2008. See, I didn't know about that, actually. That sucks. Why did they do that? Because they're pedophile lovers. That's why they did it. However, they hope that conservative-controlled Supreme Court will reverse that ruling. Okay, that's good. Okay. See, that's why I said what I said earlier. I was like, I've never heard of that before. I didn't know that was a law that was passed years ago. I just... But like I said, 2008, I was 5 in 2008, so I wasn't really paying attention. The only thing I cared about in 2008 was John Cena and Spider-Man 3. I mean, so pointing to the decades-long effort that took to overturn Roe v. Wade, the landmark in 1973 case that legalized abortion nationwide was eventually overruled in 2022. Maybe the atmosphere is different on the Supreme Court. The Republican senator said last month while debating in favor of the law, we're simply challenging a ruling. Lee told reporters Tuesday that he didn't sign the bill hoping it would be tested in court. Instead, he said crimes against children are some of the most heinous that there are. I like this guy. I like Lee here. What was his name? Bill Lee, right? Yeah, Bill Lee. Yeah, I like him. It's pretty cool. He sounds like a great guy. And I agree completely. I agree. I've said this multiple times on the show. I think any crime committed against a child, physical abuse, sexual abuse, things like that, crimes committed against children should be automatically a death penalty. If you run over a child with your car and drive away from the scene, death penalty. Any crime you commit against a child should be instantaneously a death penalty. And the reason why I believe that is because I've seen it firsthand. I've seen what these heinous crimes can do to children. I've seen it firsthand. I used to work at a school. I have seen what physical and sexual abuse on children looks like in person. I've seen what it can do to kids. And it's disgusting, and they should all die, like, instantly. You should not get a chance to live. Joseph Rosenbaum should not have gotten the chance to live after raping 11 kids. should not have gotten the chance to live. Should not have only gotten 10 years. Freaking disgusting. I'm glad the Supreme Court's changing it. I'm glad the conservatives at least care about children more than Democrats do. All right, moving on to the last thing of our day. So, Senator Ted Cruz slammed Attorney General Merrick Garland during an interview over the weekend, saying that he is the most corrupt Attorney General in this country's history. I don't like that term. Most corrupt or worst in its country's history. Because I guarantee you, if you do enough research, you could find worse people. Like, I don't even like it when Trump says that Biden's the worst president in American history. Like, I don't even like when he says that. Because, like, Woodrow Wilson existed. FDR existed once, too. LBJ, like, there are definitely worse presidents than Joe Biden. By the way, I watched the interview recently with Logan Paul and Trump. Funny. I love the one part. One part, Trump said that the only person happy about Biden's presidency is Jimmy Carter because now he doesn't look as bad. That is hilarious. That is one of the funniest things I've ever heard him say. But no, I hate that terminology. Worst in history. I'm pretty sure there's worse attorney generals in the past. Anyway, that's not important. Cruz made remarks during the Sunday interview on Fox Sunday morning features with host Miranda Bartiromo. Anyway, after the President Joe Biden Department of Justice announced that it would not press charges against Garland for contempt of Congress. Oh, big surprise there. The Biden DOJ not convicting another Democrat of a crime. Wow. I could have never guessed. Why would Joe Biden's DOJ ever convict a Democrat? So stupid. Real quick, the significance of holding Merrick Garland in contempt of Congress. Bartiromo said, "What does that get you?" She says that he's not intimidated, by the way. So then Cruz responded and said, "Well, this is the most lawless and partisan attorney general we have ever seen. The numbers of people on the planet Earth who were surprised when Joe Biden's DOJ said they would not prosecute Merrick Garland, contempt citation is 0. No person out of 8 billion people on the planet was surprised because the DOJ doesn't care." And that is true. Joe Biden's DOJ has literally let everybody get away with everything. Everybody. Joe Biden's own DOJ said that it was okay if Joe Biden also got away with crimes that he also committed. Joe Biden's DOJ is the worst well, actually, I wouldn't say it's the worst DOJ because LBJ's. I just said I hated when people said that, and then I also said it. Just contradicted myself. No, there's definitely worse DOJs. Like, for example, LBJ's DOJ. Terrible. But that's for another day, and I'm going to try not to talk about Richard Nixon for once. It's kind of hard, though. Richard Nixon's awesome. Under Merrick Garland, DOJ exists to do two things: attack the Democrats' enemies and protect the Democrats' friends. He continued, "The degree to which the DOJ has been weaponized trying to stop voters from electing Donald Trump is ridiculous. And the degree to which the DOJ is protecting Joe Biden from evidence of his corruption and protecting his friends is shameful. The damage Merrick Garland has done to the DOJ has no precedent in history, and it's really sad." So, there we go. Once again, Ted Cruz is walking people down like he usually does. Ted Cruz is starting to become one of my favorite senators in America right now. I really like Ted Cruz. I think he's awesome. I think he's awesome. I think he's great. He just walks everybody down. Like Sean Strickland walked down Israel onto Sonya when they fought. But no, this is going to be the end of my show, guys. I hope you liked it. If you liked it, give it a like. Give me your thoughts down below. I make shows like this every single day, so you can stay tuned and prepare for that. And hit the subscribe button and put your notifications on if you want to see more of my content like this. And anyways, I will see you guys later. Peace.